RG3A7. Strange. Hello there. I'm in the Lost Valley section of the T&T area today. I've been here a few times over the past summer, early fall. In a recent video, maybe a couple of months ago, I was exploring out here and I found some old train tracks on the opposite side of the road from where I am today, and they ended in all these piers, these concrete piers with rebar coming out of them. There were 16 in that one, and there are 16 in this one, and there's evidence of another old railroad bed leading from here off to my right. So I'm originally here to, if you remember last summer I was out here with Maggie and we found an old motor that was just laying to the side of an old road bed, had been asphalt turned to gravel by now, and I wanted to explore that old road bed. I'd never been on it, and I think it was in that video or one close to then that I had the posts that were about 15 feet apart, about 8 feet high, with the metal sticking out that looks like maybe there was a cable system or something running through the hills, and I wanted to follow that and see where it went. But I saw this mound from the trail, and it was obviously man-made, and I thought, well, why is it there? Let's walk around it, and this is what was behind the mound. So let's explore that railroad bed, see what we find. It's a railroad tie and a ground for something. Behind me you can see the evidence of where the railroad tracks were. It's an elevated area with steep banks on both sides, kind of skimming this valley, this drainage area here, paralleling the road that is the trail now. We'll explore that. Here you can see the railroad bed in front of us, and I'll pan right. You can see the old road bed, which is now the trail. We're very close to the trail. I would say 30, 40 feet at the most. And I just kind of lost it. It petered out. There's a lot of growth here. You can see by this cedar, it's been here quite a long time. I'll continue past that for a little bit, see if I can find something, but I really don't think I'm going to. It just looks like it ends here. This probably won't come through on camera, but here we have evidence of another old road bed. Comes off the trail, hooks around on the top of this hill. I remember exploring this area years ago, and there's evidence of several roads through this area and mounds everywhere, but no foundations or evidence of the buildings that I'm sure must have been here at one time. A lot of mounds though. I'm going to pan right, show you a mound next to us, and then to the right of that is the railroad tracks, and then our trail. It's difficult to imagine what was here at one time. Obviously there was a lot of activity though. I know there's really not much more to show you in the area I was just in. I remember the railroad tracks ended in that area with all the mounds. So I'm going back up the trail to the old road bed where we found that motor with Maggie. That one was paved where the one that we were just at was not. So it was more heavily used for something, and I'm more curious to explore that. So the old railroad bed behind me is curving away from the road, the trail, and it's calling to me. That's all I could say. I'm gonna have to go follow it, see where it goes. If I found something like another abandoned bunker, something like that, that would be really cool. Well, here's hoping. Well, this is really interesting. It's not as good as a bunker, but it's pretty cool. So this would have been the terminal post for that cable system at whatever end of this we are. This really large pole that looks like a power pole also is part of that cable pulley system that elevated it above the railroad bed, so it would have been over the railroad cars, and it had power to it. A lot of metal bracing here at this end, and I need to look on the other side of the tracks to see if there's one over there. So now I'm torn between following the railroad tracks, unless they end here, and following these posts. I do want to see where those go as well. Let's see what's next. So I'm not able to pick that up. There's a ground cable running through it that's buried in the ground. And then down the hill from here is a 4-inch iron pipe. I don't know where that goes. 16 piers again. They really weren't that far apart. It's really odd. They were on both sides of this road as well. American Foundry Manufacturing Company, St. Louis, Missouri, 1942. They're all over the place out here. So we're definitely on an old road bed. All this gravel are the remains of an asphalt paved road that's degraded over 80 years. The tar is washed out, leaving the gravel. It's graded, crowned in the middle, drainage on both sides, steep banks on the other side of the drainage. Well, hopefully we find something interesting. Here we have a T-post and another marker. RG2C4, and what looks like maybe an intersection with another road just ahead. Well, into the road. There was something here at one time. There are big chunks of concrete all around, kind of washing down this hill. Curiouser and curiouser. Well, that was it, but now we know. So I'm off to find that system of poles with the metal bracing that I think was some kind of cable pulley system. I really have no idea. That's just my best guess. It's really not that far up the trail. That'll be one end of it. The other end, I suspect, will end at the railroad tracks we saw earlier. Well, let's find out. There are power poles running all through this place. A lot of them still have insulators and wires on them, all through the woods out here. That's pretty cool. So that small pond would be a fun little place to pitch camp this time of year, if it was loud. January 9th today. Here I am in a t-shirt. A week and a half ago, my sons were in visiting, and I took them for a little hike out here in the snow. Freezing cold, I think 17. It was beautiful. We saw some ducks and a lot of birds, different types of birds. It was just a beautiful, quiet hike. kind of a magical moment with those guys. Well, I'm not sure if you can pick this out through all this brush, but we're set up on the trail. Just over my right shoulder is the end of the line for those posts. Kind of get through this brush and get over there. I'm not sure if it really did go farther. It could be, and a lot of it's fallen over or just rotted by now. Well, let's go trace this out. Okay, so here's our first one. I can see about 3 or 4 more behind me, and a stack of these with all have some ground cable attached to them, just here rotting in the dirt. Oh, there's ground cable here too. That's really interesting. Here we have one with a power pole next to it. It's still in really good shape. Still has all the lines on it too. Should be roughly in the middle of the screen. Sorry, the brush is really thick here. Here we have a fairly clean shot without too much brush. I could definitely see 5, maybe 6. There's something on the ground about 50 or 60 feet ahead of us. Let's go see what that is. I have no idea what this would be for. It comes up out of the ground, loops around, is anchored to this post, loops back around, and maybe terminates over there. I'm going to that end to see. It looks like iron pipe. Yep, definitely is iron pipe. This is the other end, just laying on the ground next to the base of one of the posts that we're following. We're getting deeper in the woods, so the understory's thinning out, opening up quite a bit. That makes it easier. But there's definitely a cable system here, barbed wire on the other side, and I really can't imagine what that was used for. Huh. Here's another iron pipe coming up out of the ground, making a loop a little bit elevated back into the ground. Some more of the cable. We're really pretty far away from the trail. I'm hoping I don't have to backtrack to get out of here. And we have another one. Alright, so here we're crossing the Lost Valley Trail. I'm actually standing on it right now, and we're about to descend into this steep valley. Type 2 fun. Okay, so we're almost at the bottom of the valley. You can see some of the tall poles on the other side. This really large tank at the bottom, some down poles on my side, and another one of those iron pipes coming up out of the ground. This is pretty wild. Now this is going to be shaky because this is way too steep to use a tripod, but in the middle of this iron pipe we have some concrete pour for something, brickwork, and what looks like some gas line. And there's barbed wire all over the place here. Here's another view of the tank, and there are a couple of pipes coming out of the ground to go over this stream bed. I don't know how they ever got that down here. Now to work my way up this steep hill. Here's one of the pipes coming up out of the ground. pretty far up in the air. Looks like it's taller than me, and then back into the ground. Alright, about halfway up the hill, we're going to make a 90-degree right. There's another pipe just on the ground, some clay pipe. You can see these poles get really tall as we go back down into the next steep valley and farther away from the trail and closer to darkness. I doubt it comes out on camera, but this is really steep and the leaves make it difficult. Okay, so the hills are so steep here. It reminds me of the Smokies. Sorry, I'm afraid I'm going to fall backwards. In the Smokies, they say the mountains are so steep you could stand up and kiss the ground. And I just did it here just to see if I could. Okay, so all the posts are down here in this area. Another iron pipe coming up out of the ground. Whole bunch of chain link fence over here. I'm hoping I could find the post here at the top of the hill. We're almost there. And get me back to that railroad track. Otherwise, I really don't know where I am out here in these woods. And, well, you know, no GPS. Didn't take any compass readings. So, another adventure in the books. Okay, so there's no sign of any post here at the top of the hill. The last one ended where all that chain link fence was. So, plan B. I'll get back to you. Okay, so plan B, hike back to where we crossed the Lost Valley Trail, take that back to the car. But I saw some more of these posts on the way back. I'm not there yet. And it's a different line of posts than what I was following before. They ended at the top of the same hill. But let me show you this fence. It's I'd hate to be the one that had to build this, but it's a chain link fence, probably about 8 feet tall. Hang on, and it had barbed wire going across the top. So you can see it up there at the top of the hill coming down here to the bottom. I don't know where that tank is. I'm assuming it's farther down this valley. Then this fence starts going back up the hill again. And then we've got these posts. Here's some over here in the direction that we're going. And the iron pipe in the ground as well. This is really strange. Oh yeah, and on that fence, there's a danger keep out sign. But it's on the other side, saying keep out of this side. That's not concerning at all. Okay, so we're on the Lost Valley Trail. Life is good. So, those hills are steep. It's got nothing to do with my age. Anyway, a video or two ago, I realized I mentioned type 2 fun, and my wife asked me what that was. It was something I just thought was used in everybody's everyday language, but I assume not. But I've been hiking and rock climbing and all the outdoor stuff since I was a teenager, and it just kind of, I guess, resides in that community. So I don't have a cell signal right now, but when I do, probably by the time I get back to the car, I'm going to go to REI's website. I know they have a pretty adequate definition there because that's where I had to go to explain it to my wife. What I can say in a nutshell is type 1 fine. That's just what we call fine. I'll get back to you when I get a cell signal. Alright, so all of my memories in the outdoors since my youth are built on type 2 fun. Type 2 fun, well, I have a definition right here. We know type 1 fun is just fun. You know, a good meal, just a good time with friends, an easy hike to a scenic area, something like that. Type 1 fun. Type 2 fun, this is according to REI.com, is miserable while it's happening. Sounds about right, but it's fun in retrospect. So it usually begins with the best intentions, and then things get carried away, like riding your bicycle cross country, running till you puke. Yeah, that sounds about right. Getting minorly hurt maybe, but not in a bad way. When it's all over though, seems like those were the good memories, the ones you remember anyway. Type 3 fun is when somebody gets seriously hurt or dies or something you don't want any part of. So that's why I refer to some of the things I do here as type 2 fun. I know really at the time I'm not going to enjoy it, but when I look back on it, it was a damn good time. Okay, so that's it for the hike. Thanks for watching.